Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome back to our video. We are from 9th group. In this occasion, we will do presentation about language learning strategies. I am Mulandari Sriwahyuni as moderator and my partner is Roro Yulfriati Nurul Aini. We will explain a little bit about language learning strategy itself. The first material will be explained by me. The first is introduction. What is language learning strategy? Language learning strategies is a term referring to the process and action that are consciously developed by language learner to help them to learn or use a language more effectively. The next is learning about learning strategies. Frequently used techniques for assessing students' second language strategies include informal and formal interviews, group discussion, language learning diaries, and else that require students to describe their strategies aloud while using them. Observational methods are often difficult to employ because many strategies research depend on learners' willingness and ability to describe their internal behaviors, both cognitive and affective. Researchers have found that many or most second language learners are capable of remembering their learning strategies and describing them when asked. Next is result of research on learning strategies in outside the second language field. Research on learning strategies has boomed outside the second language field and has profoundly influenced language research. Non-second language researchers have discovered that effective learners effectively associate new information with existing information in long-term memory, building increasingly interesting, integrate, and differentiated meta structures or schemata. The use of well-chosen strategy distinguishes experts from novices in many learning areas, such as physics, native language reading, and mechanical engineering. According to non-second language research, successful learners often use metacognitive strategies such as organizing and planning their learning. Use of this behavior along with cognitive strategies such as analyzing, reasoning, transferring information, taking notes, and summarizing might be considered part of any definition of truly effective learning. Meanwhile, in the second language field, some 15 years ago, the second language researchers made lists of strategies presumed to be essential for all good language learners. Rabin suggests that good language learners must have six abilities such as willingly and accurately gaze, want to communicate, are uninhibited about mistake, focus on both structure and meaning, take advantage of all practice opportunities, and the last is monitoring their own speech and that of others. The next is effectiveness of strategy use. Research indicates that appropriate use of language learning strategies, which include dozens or even hundreds of possible behaviors, such as seeking out conversation partners, grouping words to be memorized, or giving oneself encouragement, result in improved second language of proficiency overall, or in specific language skill areas. The next is orchestration by effective learners. Research suggests that effective second language learners are aware of the strategies they use and why they employ them. As found in both diary studies Levin and Oxford, and Think Aloud Procedure, O'Malley and Kamet, skilled second language learners select strategies that work well together that are tailored to the requirements of the language task. For high-performing second language learners, cognitive and metacognitive strategies often go together. learners far less often see social and effective strategies, perhaps because second language researchers fail to ask about them in detail, and perhaps because even skilled learners mistakenly hesitate to consider this as a real strategy. The next is less successful learners. Research suggests that less skilled the second language learners sometimes are not even aware of the non-communicative or rather man-made strategies they use, such as translation, rote memorization, and repetition, according to Nikos. However, more recent researchers indicates that many of the less effective second language learners are indeed aware of the strategies they use, can describe them clearly, and actually use just as many strategies as effective second language learners. However, less effective learners apply these strategies in a random, even disparate manner without careful orchestration and without targeting the strategies to the task. And then, according to Galloway and Labarca, they do not construct a well-ordered second language system, but instead retain an untidy assemblage of unrelated fragments. And then the last but not least is about strategy training studies. Some strategy training has been effective in various skill areas, but not in others, even within the same study. However, problems in the researcher methodology might have obscured some potentially important findings. Such problems include to sort a period of strategy training, proportionate ease of difficulty of the training task, lack of integration of the training into normal language classwork, and perceived irrelevance of the training. And the last is inadequate pre-training assessment of learners' initial strategy use and needs. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, many of second language strategy training studies have ignored powerful, effective, and social strategies such as a positive self-talk, self-reward, and cooperate learning in favor of a concentration of metacognitive and cognitive strategies, the more purely intellectual aspect of language learning. Both of second language and non-second language studies have shown that the most effective strategy training is explicit. Learners are told overtly that a particular behavior or strategy is likely to be a helpful, and they are told how to see it and how to transfer it to known situation. Blind training, in which students are led to use certain strategies without realizing it, is less useful, is less successful, particularly in the transfer of strategies to new tasks. Strategy, the training succeeds best when it's woven into regular class activities on a normal basis, according to most research. The next material will be delivered by my partner, Roro Yulfriyanti Nurul Aini. Time and place is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, I'm Roro Yofrianti Nurul Aini, and now I will explain about influence on strategy use. So, research indicates that factors influencing the L2 student choice of learning strategies include of motivation, career or academic specialization, sex, culture background, nature of task, age, and stage of language learning. More motivated L2 students, whether in intensive classroom and regular classroom or even satellite language programs. The nature of the tasks, such as conversation versus letter writing, listening, listening for details versus listening for the main idea, it helped determine the strategies used to do the activity. And now we'll talk about learning styles and strategies. This is another key determiner of L2 strategy choice. As we know, students often use strategies that directly reflect their preferred learning. For example, students with an analytic learning style prefer strategies such as constructive analysis, rule learning, dissecting words and phrases. But visually oriented students use strategies such as listening, grouping, and so on, whereas those with an auditory preference like to work with tapes and practice aloud. L2 and non-L2 studies have shown that the most effectively strategy training is explicit. Students are explicitly taught that a behavior or strategy will be useful and they are taught how to use it and how to transfer it to a new situation. And the next material it is about limitation and potential of research. This strategy system can be categorized as follows. The first one is system that related to behaviors of successful language learners, and the second is system that based on physiological function linguistically, based on strategy system dealing with inferencing, language monitoring, formal rule practicing, and functional communicative and practicing system based on particular language skills such as oral production, vocabulary learning, reading comprehension, or writing, and system based on different types or style of learners. And this system is based on the theory that the learner is a whole person who uses intellectual, social, emotional, and physical research. The system includes this strategy into a groups. The first one is effective, such as anxiety reduction, self-encouragement, and self-reward. And the second is social, that such as asking questions, cooperating with native speaker of the language, and becoming culturally aware. And the third is metacognitive, such as paying attention, consistently searching for practice opportunities, planning for language tasks, self-evaluating progress, and monitoring errors. And the fourth is memory related. This is such as grouping, imagery, rhyming, moving physically, and structure reviewing. And number five is general cognitive, that such as reasoning, analyzing, summarizing, and practicing. And the last is compensatory, that such as guessing meanings from the context and using synonym and gesture to convey the meaning. And the last material it is about encouraging effective language learning strategy use suggestion for ESL instructors. So the first one is it is relatively easy to find out about your students' learning strategies. And the second is be concerned about a wide range of strategies, not just the commonly discussed cognitive and metacognitive strategies. And the third is when time is limited or with large ESL classes, some teachers globally classify each student as an A student or an C student, or as a quiet person or an talkative person. And the fourth is see the effectiveness of the particular learning strategies your ESL student use. And number five is you can teach your student to orchestrate their use of strategies by having them systematically combine and use strategies relevant to the ESL task at hand. And number six, help your ESL student that for Miss Language learners, the organized, reasonable use of learning strategies is more important than the sheer frequency of strategy use. And number seven is give excellent direction about strategy use and over practice in transferring the strategies to new situation and tasks. And number eight is pay attention to the range of factors influencing strategy use among your ESL students and those you can personally affect. And number nine is assess the learning style of strategies your student use. So, in this chapter, we know that ESL teachers can help their students recognize the power of consistently using language learning strategies to make learning quicker, easier, more effective, and more fun, to help all students become more aware of their strategies by of the diaries, surveys, or interview. And we know that ESL teacher can then weave learning strategy training into regular classroom, even in a natural but highly explicit way, providing ample opportunity for practicing strategies and transferring them to a new task. This teacher and their student can benefit greatly from what the research has already found and will gain more from future investigation.
That's all from us. I hope it can be benefit for us, especially for me and my partner. We are say apologize if there are so many mistakes and trouble in my video because we are still studying. So see you on the next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.